The storm and the song. The sea had always been Adoro's companion, sometimes kind, sometimes cruel, but always honest. Every dawn, before the first streak of sunlight brushed the horizon, Adoro would leave his small bamboo hut by the shore of San Esteban. His net, patched more times than he could remember, hung over his shoulder like an old friend that refused to die. The wooden boat he rowed creaked like tired bones, but it was sturdy enough to carry his hopes, and sometimes, his disappointments, into the heart of the sea. The people of San Esteban pitied him. "Poor Adoro," they would whisper, watching his silhouette fade into the fog. "He has no family, no wealth, no future but the tide." But what they did not know was that Adoro had never been poor in spirit. He loved the ocean not for what it could give, but for what it made him feel, alive, small, and somehow part of something infinite. That morning, however, the ocean was restless. The waves rolled with a strange rhythm, as though breathing heavily from some invisible weight. The sky was gray even before the sun rose. Seabirds screamed and flew inland, an omen fishermen knew too well. But Adoro, stubborn as always, pushed his boat into the churning water. "Just a few nets," he muttered to himself. "The sea provides, even in anger." He rowed for hours, chasing the faint promise of fish that flickered beneath the dark water. But when he cast his net, it came back empty again and again. Then the wind shifted, cold and sharp, slicing through his skin. The horizon darkened. A wall of clouds loomed like a beast awakening. "A storm," he whispered. "Already?" The air crackled. The sea began to roar. Adoro tried to row back, but the waves grew monstrous, hurling his small boat like a leaf in a tempest. Lightning tore across the sky, illuminating towers of water rising and falling like breathing mountains. Thunder rolled like the laughter of gods. Then, amid the chaos, he heard it, a song. It was deep and low, vibrating through the sea itself. Not a melody of men or of whales, but something ancient, something divine. The sound wrapped around his heart, pulling him downward, into the dark belly of the storm. He looked into the depths, and saw eyes staring back. Gigantic. Luminous. Like orbs of fire trapped beneath glass. The sea itself seemed to tremble under their gaze. Adoro's breath caught in his throat as a shape rose from the abyss, a shape too vast to comprehend. The water swelled upward, forming a massive pillar that shattered the waves around him. Out of it emerged a figure, half man, half dragon. Its scales shimmered like molten silver, and its face, though shaped like a human's, was carved with the majesty and terror of eternity. Its voice came not from its mouth, but from the deep itself. "Do not fear me, Adoro of the shore." Adoro fell to his knees inside the trembling boat. Who are you?" "I am Leviathan, the warden of the abyss, the keeper of the balance, the lord of the deep." The words rolled through the air like thunder made flesh. Adoro's lips quivered. Why? Why show yourself to me, O Great One? I am no one, only a poor fisherman." The Leviathan's golden eyes narrowed, almost amused. "And that is why you see me. The proud are blind to the depths. But the humble, the pure of heart, can hear the voice of the sea." The rain ceased. The waves froze, as though obeying the creature's will. Around them, the storm dissolved into a vast, eerie calm. Adoro looked around, his heart pounding. "Am I dead?" "No," said the Leviathan, its gaze piercing him. "You are chosen." Then the water beneath his boat began to glow, blue, then green, then gold. The light wrapped around Adoro's arms like tendrils of living current. He felt warmth surge through his veins, a force so immense it made him cry out. "I grant you the dominion of the tides," said the Leviathan. "The sea shall listen to your call. The winds shall bow at your whisper. You shall protect my realm, the ocean and all who live by her grace." Adoro trembled. The glow sank into his skin, leaving strange symbols etched along his forearms, like waves carved in light. "Why me?" he gasped. "There are many stronger, wiser, more worthy, because you are kind," said the Leviathan simply. "You give even when the sea takes. You ask not for gold but for enough to share. Such hearts are rare among men." The creature leaned closer. Adoro could see the reflection of his small, frightened face upon the shimmering scales. "But know this, child of men, power is a tide. It can heal or it can drown. You must choose, every day, which wave you will ride." Then, with a roar that shook the heavens, the Leviathan descended back into the deep. The sea swallowed its light, and once again Adoro was alone, his boat gently rocking on the calm water, as though the storm had never been. That night, Adoro returned to shore, dazed but alive. The villagers gathered around him, their faces full of awe. "Adoro! We thought you were dead," cried old Mateo, his friend. "I nearly was," Adoro murmured, staring at the marks on his arms, faintly glowing beneath the moonlight. "What happened out there?" He looked at the sea. It was quiet now, reflecting the stars like shards of heaven. "The sea spoke to me," he said softly. "And I listened." The others laughed nervously, thinking him delirious from the storm. But when Adoro cast his net into the shallow water that night, the net came back bursting, with fish larger and fatter than anyone in San Esteban had ever seen. Word spread like wildfire. Within days, Adoro was no longer the poor fisherman they pitied. He became a living legend, the man who commanded the sea. Wherever he went, the waves calmed, the fish gathered, and storms broke apart before reaching shore. But Adoro never boasted. He shared his catch with widows, the sick, and hungry children. He repaired the boats of the old and taught young fishermen how to read the wind. And every night, when the tide rose high and the stars glittered like watching eyes, he would walk to the shore, kneel before the sea, and whisper, "Thank you, Great One." Yet deep within the abyss, far below the reach of light, the Leviathan stirred. It gazed upon the surface of the world, where Adoro's power began to ripple across the waters. The sea beasts bowed as it spoke to them in the language of the deep. "The time begins anew. The chosen walks the surface. But even the purest heart must face the storm within." Its golden eyes gleamed in the darkness. For where there is light, shadow always follows. And from the blackest trench of the ocean, something else awoke, something ancient, jealous, and hungry.